Hello?
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 Hi.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi? Hello?
Hey.
Hey, hello?
Hey. Hi.
Hello? Welcome to Mid-Power Mondays, where we put together decks that sometimes do something, and it feels okay at best.
For the reasonable price of around $150.
Oh, looking forward to it. I'm Janklord Supreme Joe.
And I'm Shane Kill Shane First Shane.
Today we're going to summon the Prophet, Kaalia, Zenith Seeker. Praise be your name.
Praise be to the jank.
This deck is an utter cacophony of idiocy.
Wow, Joe, that's a big word.
Yeah, it means bad, and we can't wait to obliterate any hope you had of us putting together a deck that works. With that, let's get to the Commander Rundown. This deck was built for one and only one reason: make shitty Kaalia less shitty. There's really no reason to play this Kaalia over the good one.
Unless you like jank.
It's an act of honest to God insanity and really has no place in civilization. As a matter of fact, Kaalia of the Vast,
The good one.
uh, debatable, is more on theme than Zenith Seeker, but we'll get to that dumpster fire later. All that said, this is my all-time favorite commander deck because it features the best mechanic: cycling. Yes, this is a cycling deck for some stupid reason. We can call this thing the Lance Armstrong of commander decks because it does two things: it cycles and it cheats.
It also flickers, but I don't think Lance Armstrong does that.
Probably not. Kalia's job is to bring all the boys to the yard, and then we cheat them in and flicker them like an epilepsy test. But what if there's no boys, and the yard is barren? Well, then we just flicker Kalia until she's as popular as an IG model. If we can't bring them to us, we'll go to them.
Just have her set up an OnlyFans.
Just like God intended. Praise be to Kalia and her milkshake.
Praise be. So, Joe, what the F are we even trying to do here?
That's a great question, Shane. And 99% of the time, I have no clue.
Still?
Yeah, the other 1% of the time, I'm piloting this deck and cycling like I have an idea what I'm doing.
I don't believe this one bit.
You shouldn't, I'm lying to your face. I'm trying to get my engine online, then cheating big fatties with enter the battlefield effects until the board is mine. Once the engine is revving, then we have an unstoppable juggernaut of a board state that locks down and beats face.
This is the part that I don't like.
Yeah, you shouldn't. It's just like prison, except the exact same.
It sounds about right.
Let's go over the engine pieces. First and foremost is the creatures. Each creature has a fairly potent enter the battlefield effect and is either a dragon, angel, or a demon.
Cool synergy, bro.
Except for a few non-those tribes.
Not cool synergy.
But they also have great ETBs, except the bad ones. I think that at some point you'll want to make note to put ETB and then in parentheses enter the battlefield on the video.
I'll just put ETB equals enter the battlefield to the bottom right corner of the entire video.
Okay. Fine, whatever. Second is the flicker effects. Once a creature's out, we need to abuse those ETB effects. Really run them ragged. For that reason, all the flicker effects in this deck are repeatable.
Sort of.
Mostly even. Some of them are also on other ETB effects, but they work.
Also sort of.
I'll give you that one. With one of those effects in play, you can flicker your own stuff to gain advantage or save a valuable piece of the engine. Or not. I'm not your boss. Last is the cheating pieces. No, we're not paying full price for anything. We're going to be a Karen in a supermarket with expired coupons, damaged cans, and a whole personality full of being a complete bitch.
This sounds awful, and I love it.
This toolbox helps us flatten the mana curve and make the world our discount oyster. Also, at this point, you might be wondering about the cycling cards. Me too.
More throwing our own stuff in the trash? Sign me up.
Yeah, you better believe it. These cycling cards work almost exclusively with Astral Slide and Astral Drift. They serve no other purpose. We'll visit this later when Shane berates me for playing this deck.
This deck has the one guy I don't like, right?
Maybe. Definitely.
Shit.
That's it. That's all you have to do. Just dump a bunch of mana intense cards on the battlefield and you win. Magic is so easy.
And broken.
I don't know why you guys even need me to explain this to you. Praise be to Kaalia and her mysterious win cons.
Praise be. Piles.
Piles.
Tiny piles.
Bitty baby piles for babies.
Small piles.
Small tiny piles.
Piles.
Wee baby piles.
Piles.
Tiny piles.
That's it.
Okay. Little baby piles for babies.
Hey, Joe, what's the best part of Magic?
Um, Shuffling. Hardcore. Just love that shit.
Not quite. It's actually tutoring for the exact card that you need at the exact right time. So let's talk about these tutor cards.
Which ends with what, Shane?
Shit.
Shuffling. That's right, idiot.
Alright, so my favorite card out of these Tutti Frutti tutors is Demir Houseguard. Now, you might be asking, how is this a tutor, Shane? It costs 3 and a black for a creature, a 2/3 skeleton. That doesn't do anything. But oh wait, it has a keyword. It's called Transmute. For 1 and 2 black, you can discard this card and search your library for a card with the same converted mana cost and reveal it and put it in your hand. It's a tutor, bro. For 3 mana. To get a 4 mana CMC card, pretty cool. That gets us Fires of Invention or Sneak Attack. 2 really powerful cards in this deck.
Since you went ahead and mentioned those, Shane, let's get to the big-time cheat pile. This has some great cards in it, like Felden of the Third Path, Quicksilver Amulet, and Sneak Attack, all letting us get creatures onto the battlefield without ever actually casting a spell. And cheap as all get out. This lets us bank our mana for cycling later.
And speaking of cycling, let's check out these cycling cards and how trash they are because you throw them in the trash. 2 cards to note here are Fluctuator and Tectonic Reformation, which essentially allow you to either A, throw your cards away cheaper, or B, throw cards that aren't cycling cards away. Tectonic Reformation makes all your land cards have cycling for 1 red mana. Fluctuator does the opposite. It reduces the cycling cost of all cycling abilities by 2 generic mana, making most of them free.
Well, since we're going through all those cycling cards, let's find out the reason that literally a quarter of the deck is dedicated to cycling. This section's called Off, and it has the 2 most important cards in it, Astral Drift and Astral Slide. This allows us to turn all of our cycling cards into a flicker effect. And on top of that, it can also remove other people's cards and threats from the table if you really need them out of the way. Only for a turn, though. In addition to the cycling aspect, we also have a few cards that allow us to repeatedly flicker creatures at no cost to us, or a minimal cost. Items like Conjurer's Closet and Eldrazi Displacer allow us to either have free recurring flickers or stuff that we can spend minimal mana on. As you can see from this section in the cheating section, we're trying not to cast too many spells to really synergize with Fires of Invention. Our whole goal is to get this board working without ever actually casting anything.
Well, Joe, if you do end up having to cast a spell, we've got these ramp cards to help us do it. Rapacious Dragon works really well with our synergy of Flickering. When Rapacious Dragon enters the battlefield, you create 2 treasure tokens. If you've got a repeatable flicker effect, you can flicker Rapacious Dragon over and over again to get a bunch of treasure tokens for a lot of mana. Other cards of note here would be Solemn Simulacrum and Wayfarer's Bauble and Burnished Heart, all cards that get you more lands on the battlefield. It works really well with Fires of Invention. And then we've got our standard Soul Ring and Arcane Signet.
Now that we've gone through the basic ramp package, let's go through our card advantage and give me more. These are all tied to bodies or enter the battlefield effects. Every one of these will get you massive card advantage, especially because you can flicker them and have it happen multiple times. Or, in the case of Villas Broker of Blood, not doing that. Of particular note out of this pile, we're going to look at Demon Lord Belzenlock. When he enters the battlefield, you exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. Then you put it in your hand. If the card's converted mana cost is 4 or greater, you keep doing that. If you haven't noticed, this deck has a lot of very expensive cards. This can get you upwards of 5 to 10 cards easily in your hand. Stuff that you can cheat back out with your Sneak Attack or Fires of Invention. Real quick and easy, and it's great for just unloading on people and doing what we're going to go to next.
And that something is board control. Joe, you have a lot of removal in this deck.
I sure do, and there's something really unique about it.
It's almost all tied to creatures.
Exactly.
One of those creatures is my least favorite card in the world, Archfiend of Ifnir.
Hey, he's back!
Yeah, and he says that, whenever you cycle or discard a card, which you do in this deck, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature your opponents control. Well, guess what, Joe? That kills most of my stuff, and I don't like it.
Too bad.
Another really good general board wipe creature is Thunder Dragon. It says whenever he enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to each creature without flying. Well, if we've got a way to flicker him, that could be 6, 9, 12 damage each turn to a creature. We've got 2 other creatures that we can use as general pinpoint removal in Angel of Despair and Meteor Golem. Both of these can destroy other types of permanents whenever they enter the battlefield, clearing the way of pesky enchantments and artifacts.
Those are great cards, Shane, for controlling the board. One of the problems, though, is that sometimes you might not have the opportunity to protect it. That's why we have this pile of cards called Nope. They come right on back and give you everything that you just lost. Stuff like Karmic Guide and Twilight Shepherd let you immediately get back everything that you've lost. And it does it on enter the battlefield, so you can keep doing this over and over. You can rebuild your entire board very quickly here. So between those and this next group, which we call Oppress the Masses, we make sure that this engine always stays online. And here we have probably one of my favorite cards of all time, Parallax Wave. This one has Fading 5, and it allows you to remove a fade counter from Parallax Wave and remove target creature from the game. When Parallax Wave leaves play, each player returns to play all cards he or she owns removed from the game with Parallax Wave. Here's the best part. Parallax Wave goes away, and then you use probably the best land in this deck, Hall of Helion's Generosity, to put it right back on top. So at the turn before you, on their end step, you burn all the fade counters off of Parallax Wave, use the Hall to put it back on top, and you flicker your entire board. Or most of it, anyway. This allows you to recur your flicker effects and use it as pinpoint removal when necessary. It's truly great, and probably the best combo piece in this deck.
Joe, for the love of God and Kaalia his prophet, how does this deck even function?
Good question, Shane. We'll start by looking at some opening hands. Your opening hand will have pretty standard rules for mana. Try to get 3 lands and ramp. However, you could also do 3 lands no ramp, or 2 lands and ramp. The beginning of the game will be like Hungry Hungry Hippos, except with mana. However, after turn 5, you can pretty freely miss land drops with minimal negative consequences, if you've got any of your engines started.
And just hope it doesn't get blown up.
Which it will, frequently.
By me.
Preferably, we don't want the expensive creatures in our hand to start. We'll be grabbing those when we cast our commander early, probably turn 3 or 4 at the latest. Between her initial trigger and potentially another through flicker effects, your hand should remain pretty full of creatures at any given time. What we do want in our opener is either a single engine piece, a tutor, or any combination of both. This could be either a flicker enabler or a cheating effect. This will allow us to start using our mana for the power of good and just causes.
Yeah, definitely not for nefarious deeds or evil.
Absolutely not. Praise be to Kaalia and her glorious opening hand.
Praise be!
So we've got our sick opening hand. What are we actually doing with it? Well, next let's go to the gameplay. The first few turns will be typical Ramp City, if available, or Ramp Suburbs in that case. If you manage to grab some tutors or engine pieces, start playing those ASAP. We're building a Ferrari here, not a scooter. It requires high-quality parts, precision, and approximately $146. Let's drop out a Fires of Invention on turn 4, use that to cast our commander, and set ourselves up for a pair of 5-mana drops on turn 5. Or drop a Sneak Attack on turn 4 with a Conjurer's Closet on turn 5, or an Astral Slide with a Quicksilver Amulet. The options are limitless.
Joe, there's like 10 things you can do.
They're so limitless! Good call, Shane. As we have the engine come online, the creatures we're using will be doubling as big beefy boy beaters. They fly, and that makes them hard to deal with, and they untap when they flicker, which means they can usually attack and block. It's Vigilance, without the hassle of a keyword or simplicity.
I have a strange feeling that we're going to talk about Vigilance again real soon.
Ooh, ominous. I hate it already. Towards the late game, the engine can become untouchable, and our board state is overwhelming. This is where we lock down the board with ETB creatures that will destroy and kill all threats several times per turn. People will hate us, and we shall rejoice. Praise be to Kaalia and her 483 horsepower engine.
Praise be!
Let's do our big beefy boy strengths and our little tiny bitty baby weaknesses. So, Shane, let's go over the strengths of this, which I have demonstrated to you on multiple occasions, and I'm sure you loved it.
I do.
The best part about this deck is that you get to condemn a table to a lifetime and or 90 minutes of complete misery. You remove everything that they have. They don't get to have that much fun, if any. Plus, The best part of this deck is that if you're playing it right and your engine's going, you will always have some interaction to take part in.
Well, Joe, that also happens to be a double-edged sword. So if you do have your engine going, people are going to notice what you're doing. And then they're going to start blowing your engine up, piece by piece. They're going to shit... They're going to shit all over you. Is what I was
They're
gonna
going to
say.
shit on the table. They're going to do it. You can't stop them.
They're going to dump right into your sleeves, bro.
They're just going to poop in it. What are you going to do? Angel Despair them? I don't think so. That doesn't stop poop.
I can't remove poop. It's just non-land permanence. You're big enough
'cause that thing
poop.
just-
That counts as a land.
It just landed on the table. That's for sure.
Oh, God. Your Fires of Invention's going to get hit with a Beast Within, or an Utter End, completely wiping it from the table.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge bummer, especially if it gets exiled. We don't have any means of dealing with that.
You're right. Certain stacks effects can also stop your game plan, Joe, such as Hushbringer, who happens to just turn off all ETB triggers. There are a few other cards that do this as well, like Torpor Orb and Hushwing Griff.
You're right, Shane. Those are truly devastating to the deck. It pretty much renders it unplayable at that point.
That's what I like to hear.
Shut up. I like to play this deck. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it a bunch.
Do it. You won't, coward.
I will. I do. It happens all the time. So, Shane, tell me, why am I an idiot for playing this deck?
Just play better Kaalia. I mean, why are you playing this one? The engine would be even more efficient, and you wouldn't have to worry about needing so many other options to cheat out creatures. But then again, you couldn't call yourself a special snowflake, because everyone and their mother has a Kaalia of the Vast deck.
I do. And I am special. And I am a snowflake. It's kind of cold. I should turn up the heat.
With Fires of Invention.
Oh, baby. That's what it's all about. Fires of Invention. Oh, my God. Okay. Well, thanks for that, Shane. You make me feel really good about my life choices and deck building choices. It's truly encouraging to have a friend such as you.
You're welcome.
With the deck list in hand, at time of recording, this deck cost is $145.98. There's obviously options to make it more expensive and really juice it up, but this is pretty well optimized for what it's trying to do, which is get 3 completely unrelated things to happen all at the same time. It's really bad. Guys, don't build this thing. I'm serious. If you actually do want to, though, you can find our deck list on our Moxfield account and in the link in the description below.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Mid-Powered Mondays. Mondays are the days that we release new videos, so look out for those. Maybe like and subscribe or something if you want to. Who knows? Who cares? See you guys later.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Nope. Gotta cut that one. That is super copyrighted.